Peace be to you all. Assalamualaikum. Ramadan Mubarak for those of you all who are in the process of observing the Siyam, the fast during the month of Ramadan for Muslims. Today is, what is this? This is April 17th. So I thought I'd talk about some issues, specifically race issues, in the media and in my own experience. So yesterday I participated in the Emancipation Day march here in Washington, D.C. For those of you who may not know, Emancipation is the day which commemorates when African Americans, or black folks as I like to call us, were freed, were legally freed from the bondage of slavery. So every April 16th, we commemorate this day. I have mixed feelings about that, and I'll get to them in a minute. Of course, yesterday I think was also the birthday of it was Jackie Robinson, who was the first black baseball player allowed into the Major League Baseball. He suffered a lot. There was a movie called 42, which was his jersey number, and that was played by the late Chadwick Boseman. And then, of course, last week there was the confirmation of Justice Ketanji Brown Jackson, and that was celebrated because she was the first. She's the first black woman to be nominated to the Supreme Court and actually get on the Supreme Court. And of course, standing next to her and Joe Biden was Kamala Harris, who is the first black woman, quote unquote, black woman, who has been put in the position of vice president. Now, I use those in quotes. I'm going to get to this topic now, which is the thing that bothers me about these black first, again, quote unquote, is that not everybody that gets in these positions are always black. Kamala Harris is Indian, if I'm not mistaken. She's Indian and black. And it's like the celebration of Barack Obama being the first black president. Well, his mom was white, and his dad was African. So he's the first biracial president, just like Kamala Harris is actually the first biracial vice president, who's phenotypically, we would say, black. And that's based on the racist ideology of the one-drop theory, which was, of course, promoted by the Southern whites, that if you have one drop of black blood in you, black blood again in quotes, you were considered a Negro. And I think we see a continuation of this when we call somebody who is actually biracial black. And I think it's disrespectful to the party of the parent who is not black, like Tiger Woods. He's the first, best black golf player. Well, you can't dismiss his mom, who was Asian. And that kind of brings us to my feelings about the topic, which is mixed. Because when I hear people say, we came so far, and this was a lot of the talk at the Emancipation Day celebration I attended yesterday. You hear people like, yeah, we came so far. We had the first black president. Then we had the first Supreme Court justice, Thurgood Marshall and Clarence Thomas. You can roll your eyes at that if you want. And now we got a sister in there, Sister Ketanji Brown, and the first black vice president who's a woman. Yeah. And I was kind of like, these are elected positions. And even in the entertainment industry, like Jackie Robinson, or even in my field of medicine as a physician assistant or / associate, we had the first black PA whose name was this guy, Prentice Lee Harrison, and the first black female. Her name was Joyce Nichols, 1970, the first African-American female PA. And I kind of scoff at the term African-American Because if you've been here for several generations, like I have, and my ancestors were slaves here, we're also mixed in with European ancestry. Some of us have got Native Americans, Hispanic, Asian, and so it's what we call black is a phenotype. You know, I don't think any of us are pure Nubian as much as some brothers like to tout that. So this idea that a person being the first black blank, fill in the blank, it's predicated on the notion that those in charge have allowed them to be in that position, specifically white men of power. So they allowed Ketanji Jackson to be the first black woman Supreme Court justice, just like they allowed Kamala Harris to be the first female black, I'll say black or woman of color, vice president. And even in my field, we were, after we were allowed to be free people and finally allowed to go to school with white folks, provided the university was not segregated. And that had to be an act of Congress, the Civil Rights Act, 1964, during the era in which I was born. I was born in the 60s. Those folks were allowed to attend school with white folks, and they were allowed to get their degrees, and they were allowed to work in integrated hospitals. So it kind of bugs me, I'll say, that as we're celebrating these things, these black first, we have to keep in mind that we still don't control the infrastructure. Like, I don't control medicine. I've been the black first in some positions, but I didn't control the infrastructure. So if you have the first black doctor, he didn't control medicine. The first black president, Obama, did not control, he didn't control the political infrastructure of the U.S. So he had to do what the folks who put him in power told him to do. Just like Ketanji Brown is going to have to do what she's told or strongly suggested to do. When I run codes in the hospital, I don't run codes as a black man or a brother. I run them based on algorithms that I've been taught. And, these algorithms were established by white men. If I go outside of those algorithms and the patient dies, I'm in trouble. I can be found guilty of malpractice. And that's kind of the way it is. Chris Rock said this. This is pre-slap Chris Rock. He said, we measure our success as black folks based on what white folks in power have allowed us to do. When Rosa Parks refused to take a back seat at the bus, and then finally black folks were allowed to sit wherever they wanted to on the bus. The idea is crazy that you would ever discriminate against somebody on the basis of their color to sit on a bus where they sat on the bus or where they went to the bathroom. The idea is crazy. So we're basing our success based upon what white folks, white men in particular, white men of power, have allowed us to do. Maybe I'm wrong. I don't think I am for kind of feeling about our accomplishments, kind of feel like, maybe I think this country is trying to mature. I think our leaders are trying to mature and figure this thing out. White folks are not going to be in the majority much longer. So, we have to figure out how we can get along. White folks, black folks, Asian folks, hashtag stop Asian hate. Hispanics, which is actually a language group. It's all about phenotype and genotype, and we're trying to figure this thing out as best we can. But I don't know. Tell me what you think. Respectfully, be respectful to me and to each other. As a final note, if you have any interest in becoming a PA like me, or a health educator, or an interest in being an endurance athlete, feel free to subscribe. If not, there's many awesome channels out there. Subscribe if you want. Give me a thumbs up if you want. Ramadan Mubarak to those of you guys who are fasting. Take care. Peace.